My beloved child, not every warning arrives with noise. Sometimes it arrives as a feeling you cannot explain, a shift in the air when certain people pass by, a strange silence when conversations suddenly stop as you approach, and lately, whether you realize it or not, you have been sensing that something around you has changed. There is movement behind the scenes that has little to do with what is spoken openly, and more to do with what is being observed in quiet. Be careful with your neighbors. Not because chaos is coming, but because someone near you has begun paying far more attention to your life than you understand. A woman, yes, a woman close to your environment, has noticed something about you that she cannot ignore. At first it was curiosity. Then it became fascination. And now, it is turning into something deeper, something even she may not fully understand. Don't skip, because what happens next may explain the strange energy you have been feeling without knowing why. This woman watches more than she speaks. She notices your routines, your presence, the way others respond to you. She studies the peace you carry, the mystery around your path, the way your life seems touched by something she cannot define. And what unsettles her most is not that you exist, it is that your presence makes her question her own. Have you ever felt someone looking at you while pretending not to? Have you ever walked outside and sensed eyes following your every move? Not with hatred, not with danger, but with a kind of silent obsession? That is because some people do not know how to process the light they see in others. They cannot decide whether to admire it, become close to it, or compete with it. And this woman is standing at that exact crossroads now. Something important is waiting for you in this story, because her intentions are still forming, and that is why this moment matters. She has not yet chosen what role she will play in your life. Will she become someone who secretly supports you from a distance, or someone whose envy quietly grows because she cannot understand why your presence affects her so strongly? The answer is still unfolding. But one thing is certain, she is being drawn toward your path for a reason. Watch carefully now, not with fear, but with wisdom. Pay attention to unusual kindness, to sudden interest, to conversations that feel layered with hidden meaning. Because when someone is deeply affected by your energy, they rarely know how to hide it forever. Soon, very soon, this woman will make her presence known in a way you cannot misunderstand. And when she does, you will finally understand why the atmosphere around you has felt different lately. But the reason behind her attention, the truth of what she truly wants from you, has not yet revealed itself. And when it does, everything may begin to make sense in a way you never expected. The truth is, her attention is no longer accidental. What began as passing curiosity has slowly become intention, and intention always reveals itself eventually. She has started finding subtle reasons to appear where you are, moments that seem ordinary on the surface, yet feel strangely timed when you look closer. A glance that lasts half a second too long, a conversation that begins over something trivial but lingers with unusual warmth, a presence that keeps returning as if pulled by something unseen. Stay till the end, because the deeper reason behind this is more personal than you realize. She is not drawn only to what you do, she is drawn to what your existence reflects back to her. Around you, she sees a version of life she secretly craves, peace she has not found, confidence she has not built, purpose she has not yet understood. And that is why your presence unsettles her while attracting her at the same time. Some people meet a person and simply notice them. Others meet a person and feel their entire inner world begin to shift. You, without trying, have become that kind of presence in her life. But here is what matters most: when someone is affected by you this deeply, they often begin acting in ways even they do not understand. One day they are distant. The next day they seek closeness. One moment they appear guarded, the next they seem unusually kind. It is not inconsistency, it is inner conflict. She is fighting to understand why your energy keeps pulling her back. Have you noticed someone around you becoming more aware of your movements, more interested in your routine, more present in spaces where they never seemed to be before? That is not coincidence. That is someone trying to place themselves closer to what they cannot stop thinking about. Yet her next move will matter more than anything so far. Because soon she will stop observing from afar and begin testing the connection directly. Not boldly. Not dramatically. But through quiet signals, carefully chosen words, moments designed to see how you respond. She wants to know whether what she feels is one-sided, or whether you sense it too. Don't ignore those moments when they come. Sometimes life whispers before it speaks clearly. Sometimes someone enters your orbit not to disrupt your path, but to reveal something about it. And this woman's arrival may not be random at all. Because what she is about to do next may force both of you to confront a connection neither of you expected, and when that moment happens, the atmosphere between you will never feel casual again. And when that moment arrives, you will feel it before a single word is spoken. The air between two people changes when hidden feelings can no longer remain hidden. What once felt like ordinary interaction begins carrying weight. Silence becomes charged, eye contact lingers longer than it should, and even the smallest exchange starts to feel as though something unspoken is pressing beneath it. That is where this connection is heading now. She is nearing the point where distance will no longer satisfy her curiosity. Watching from afar will not be enough. Wondering will not be enough. Soon, she will need clarity. She will need to know whether the pull she feels is real, or whether it exists only inside her heart. And because of that, she may begin revealing herself in ways so subtle that only someone paying close attention will understand what is happening. A compliment that sounds ordinary, but carries unusual sincerity. A question about your life that feels more personal than casual conversation requires. A moment where she seems nervous for reasons that do not match the situation. These are not random details. They are the quiet language of someone whose heart is trying to move before their courage fully catches up. Something important is waiting for you here, because many people miss life-changing moments simply because they expect important things to arrive loudly. But often, the most meaningful shifts begin in whispers. They begin with a person standing closer than before, speaking softer than usual, searching your face for an answer they are too afraid to ask directly. And when that happens, you must pay attention not just to her words, but to what her energy is trying to confess. Because beneath everything, beneath the glances, the timing, the repeated appearances, the careful conversations, there is one truth she is slowly realizing: her feelings are no longer simple curiosity. They have grown beyond fascination, beyond interest, into something she can no longer easily dismiss. Yet even now, she hesitates, because opening her heart carries risk. To reveal what she feels could change everything between you. It could bring closeness, or create distance. It could begin something beautiful, or expose vulnerability she has fought hard to hide. So before she takes that final step, she is waiting for one sign from you, one indication that the connection she feels is not imagined. And the way you respond in the coming moments may determine whether this remains an unspoken tension, or becomes the beginning of something neither of you saw coming. Because very soon, she may stop hinting altogether, and when she finally shows you what has been building in silence, the truth of her intentions will become impossible to ignore. There comes a moment in every hidden connection when silence can no longer carry the weight of what is felt, and that moment is drawing closer now. She has replayed every interaction in her mind more times than you would believe, wondering if your kindness meant something more, if your attention lingered for a reason, if the energy between you is as undeniable to you as it is to her. What you may have seen as ordinary exchanges, she has felt as signs. What you may have brushed aside as coincidence, she has remembered in detail. Because when someone begins to care deeply, even the smallest moments become unforgettable. And soon, her restraint may begin to crack in ways neither of you can pretend not to notice. She may start speaking with more openness, finding reasons to extend conversations that should have ended minutes earlier, revealing little pieces of herself she normally keeps hidden. That is not casual behavior. That is trust beginning to form. That is someone slowly stepping out from behind emotional walls because your presence has made those walls feel unnecessary. But here is the realization many never understand until it is too late. Sometimes the people closest to us physically are the ones whose feelings grow most quietly. Familiarity creates opportunity. Repeated proximity creates attachment. And hearts often awaken not through dramatic encounters, but through small moments repeated until they begin to mean everything. Don't skip the subtle signs when they come. A person rarely risks vulnerability all at once. They reveal themselves in fragments first, hoping the other person notices. Hoping the other person understands without forcing them to say what still scares them to admit. This is why the next chapter matters. Because soon she may do something unmistakable, something intentional enough that even you will pause and realize this is no longer simple friendliness, no longer casual attention, no longer harmless curiosity. It will be a gesture, a statement, a moment of honesty wrapped in caution. And through it, she will be placing her heart quietly in your hands without ever saying those exact words. And when that happens, the question will no longer be whether she feels something. The question will become what you will choose to do with the truth once it stands directly in front of you. Because a connection like this cannot remain suspended forever, and the decision that follows her revelation may shape everything that comes next between you both. My beloved child. There are moments in life when everything appears unchanged on the surface, yet beneath that quiet surface, an entire emotional world is shifting. This is one of those moments. Right now, while daily life moves as usual, while doors open and close, while conversations happen as they always have, while familiar routines repeat themselves in ways that seem ordinary, something deeper is building between you and this woman with every passing day. The distance between noticing and confessing is becoming smaller. The gap between curiosity and courage is narrowing. And though neither of you may fully understand it yet, the connection between you is approaching a point where it can no longer remain hidden beneath polite smiles and casual words. She has carried these feelings in silence longer than you know. Longer than she intended. Longer than she believed she could. At first she convinced herself it was nothing. Just a passing interest, just harmless attention, just temporary curiosity sparked by familiarity and proximity. But emotions rarely stay small when they are fed every day by repeated encounters, by subtle chemistry, by the strange pull of wondering what someone else may be feeling. Over time, her thoughts of you stopped arriving only when she saw you. They began following her into quiet moments. Into evenings. Into the spaces between her responsibilities. Into the private corners of her mind where truth becomes impossible to avoid. She began remembering your voice when you were gone. Replaying small interactions in her head. Thinking about what you said, how you said it, how your eyes looked when you spoke. That is how she knew this had become something real. Because people can ignore attraction for a while, but they cannot ignore the person who keeps appearing in their thoughts without invitation. Stay till the end. Because what she has not told you, what she may soon reveal, has the power to shift the entire direction of this connection. She is reaching a place emotionally where silence is starting to hurt more than honesty. And that is always the turning point. When a person fears speaking their truth, yet fears never speaking it even more, everything changes. But understand this clearly, her hesitation has never meant a lack of feeling. It has meant the opposite. People hesitate most when something matters deeply. They become cautious when the stakes are emotional. They overthink when their heart is involved. And she has been overthinking every possible outcome. What if she reveals herself and you do not feel the same? What if things become awkward? What if the connection she senses is only in her imagination? What if vulnerability costs her the comfort of simply being near you? These questions have kept her silent, but not for much longer. Because eventually, the heart grows tired of pretending. Eventually, pretending not to care becomes more exhausting than telling the truth. And that is the stage she is entering now. Her emotions are beginning to leak into her behavior in ways she cannot fully control. You may notice her trying harder with her appearance when she knows she may see you. You may notice her energy shift the moment you enter a room. You may notice a nervousness in her that appears only in your presence. A softness in her tone that she does not use with others, a warmth in her attention that lingers beyond what politeness requires. None of this is accidental. These are the unconscious signs of a heart slowly surrendering to what it feels. But here is where the story deepens, because what draws her toward you is not merely attraction. It is resonance. There is something in your presence that makes her feel seen in a way she has not felt before. Something in your energy that quiets parts of her mind while awakening others. She may not know how to explain it, even to herself. She may not have language for why being around you feels different from being around anyone else. She only knows that when you are near, something inside her becomes more alive. And when you are absent, she notices the emptiness your absence leaves behind. That is when people realize their feelings are no longer casual. Not when someone enters their life, but when that person's absence changes the emotional atmosphere of their day. Something important is waiting for you in that realization. Because once someone notices your absence that deeply, they rarely remain emotionally distant for long. So now she stands at the edge of decision. She can continue pretending, continue hiding, continue masking her feelings beneath normal interactions. Or, she can risk everything and allow the truth to be known. And whether she does it through words or actions, whether directly or indirectly, her confession is approaching. It may not come as a dramatic declaration. In fact, the most meaningful confessions rarely do. It may come disguised as honesty in a quiet conversation. It may arrive through a vulnerable question she asks when the moment feels safe. It may appear in the way she finally lets her eyes linger without looking away. In the way she begins revealing her emotions through implication rather than direct admission. But make no mistake, when it happens, you will know. You will feel the difference immediately. Because there is a sacred tension that fills the air when someone stops hiding how they feel. And when that moment comes, your own heart may be forced to answer questions it has been avoiding. Because perhaps the reason you noticed her energy at all, the reason you sensed something changing before it was spoken, is because part of you has felt this connection too. Perhaps you have noticed the unusual timing of your interactions. The way certain moments between you seem to carry more weight than they should have. The strange awareness you have of each other even in silence. The way your attention drifts toward her even when you tell yourself not to read too much into it. If so, then this is not only her awakening. It may be yours as well. That is why what happens next matters so deeply. Because once truth enters a connection, nothing remains neutral. Either two people move closer, or they step apart. Either hidden feelings become the beginning of something beautiful, or they become a truth acknowledged too late. This is why awareness matters now. Do not dismiss what is unfolding because it arrives quietly. Do not overlook what is real simply because it does not appear dramatically. Some of life's most important turning points arrive in the form of simple moments, two people standing closer than before, a silence that suddenly says more than words, a confession spoken softly enough that only the intended heart can hear it. And when her truth finally reaches you, remember this: vulnerability is one of the rarest gifts a person can offer. To reveal genuine feeling is to hand someone the most fragile part of yourself and trust they will treat it gently. So if her heart opens before you, receive that moment with care. Even if your answer is uncertain, even if your feelings are still forming, honor the courage it took for her to stand emotionally unguarded in front of you. Because many people live entire lives without ever being brave enough to tell the truth of what they feel. But she is nearing that bravery now. Nearing the point where the tension between you becomes too undeniable to keep pretending. Nearing the moment where even ordinary conversation may suddenly turn into something much deeper. And when that moment arrives, you may realize this was never just about a woman noticing you. It was about two lives gradually being drawn toward a moment neither expected, a moment built not by fate alone, but by 100 quiet encounters that slowly turned familiarity into meaning. Yet the most powerful part of this story has not happened yet. Because after she reveals herself, after the truth stands between you, after the silence is broken and everything hidden becomes visible, there will come one final moment. A pause. A breath. A heartbeat where she waits for your response. And in that suspended second, the future of this connection will hang entirely on what your eyes, your words, your energy communicate back to her. Because sometimes the most life-changing chapters begin not with grand events, but with one person finally saying what they have felt all along. And another person deciding whether to meet that truth with openness, or let the moment pass forever. And very soon now, that moment may arrive, sooner than either of you expects.